What's up, everybody? How are you doing today? I hope you're having a good one. And there's many reasons why. One of those reasons why, of course, is because it's December 1st. It is December 1st. Christmas is coming, but it's Advent. And this is PaleocratDiaries. I love you guys. Come on. We are gonna rock it out today. Why? Because we're talking about the GladTrads. The rise, the triumph, and the glory of the GladTrads. Oh, it rankles folks, doesn't it? Doesn't it rankle some people? This is the rankle, the rad trad, sad trad, and bad trad, and very, very mad trad episode. Because they don't like our jollity. They don't like the fact that we are jamming out 24/7. They don't like it. Well, how dare you? How dare you be so happy? How dare you rejoice because the Lord made today? That's just something we tell kids. We just tell them that Jesus loves them. We just tell them red and yellow, black and white, everybody's precious in his sight. We just say, rejoice, because I'll be glad in it. It's another day. La-di-da. We want you to be this. And we go, no. We say, no way, Jose. We ain't doing that. That is not how we roll here. Why? Because we're the freaks and geeks of the wolf pack. I want to see those wolves, kiddos. I want to see them. Oh, I'm already seeing them right now. Phil, you're demoted. I see Phil in the comment section right now, and he's doing the bracket wolf. Well, no, he's got bracket wolf and real wolf. Okay, dude, you are promoted. You're double promoted, man. You're rocking it out, son. Man, aren't you pumped up? Aren't you pumped up for it today? It's gonna be a good show. All right, it's gonna be a good one. Oh, our intros. People who've never tuned in before, they're watching and they're like, whoa. They're like, well, this looks kind of nice. That guy with the mutton chops looks pretty happy in the thumbnail. And it's like, dude, we are joyous. We are joyous because isn't it simple? Isn't it simple? We take a knee every single day for Christ the King. We take a knee. And there's no way that we can't be happy. He is triumphant. He's the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. He rules over everything and he works out to the good all of those things in our life. Why? Because we love him. More than that, because he loves us. And you sit there and you go, how can you not be happy? How can you walk around with Captain Grumpy Pants all over your face? How can you do that? I don't know. I can't. I simply cannot, because I know what God saved me from. I know what our Lord saved me from. I know the pit. I know the cesspool. I know the stench of sin. Been there, done that. Still struggle. That's why you got confession. But it's another reason. That's another reason to literally be joyful. And we live in these crazy times. So look, we got to be sympathetic, right? Isn't that part of the deal? You got to be sympathetic. You got to know. You got to know and say, look, I get it, man. I get it. People are really struggling in life, okay? People are really struggling. People are really, really angry. They're looking all around. They're seeing terrible things. And they're cynical. They've given up to a life of despair. They have. In part because they may not realize this, because we're in a secular age and they too are far more secular than they know. Yes, even the trads. Even the trads. The trads, in some ways, especially, in some ways, it's like that whole cognitive dissonance thing's got people rattled, and they're like, what is the guy saying? I'm going to go on Twitter and tell him I'm definitely not secular. As I take all my medicine and I don't pray about what I'm going through. Like, it's one of those things in life, that different times and different seasons and different cycles of civilization and high culture, people experience these thoughts, feelings, and emotions confusion, despair, frustration, anger, rage faces. They're all grumpy and mad, and they feel like they just want to throw their hands up and go hide somewhere. And they fall back into this ultra supernaturalist world that believes, like, you know what? We're just waiting for the end, folks. We're just waiting for the end. We're peeking out the window. We're peeking out the window with our wax candle. Well, no, they're not. They're boarding up their windows. They're all like, I ain't gonna look out the window. Not gonna do that. And so it's one of those things where it gets to a breaking point, and people, they keep living. They keep living, and people are continuing on, and the world is continuing on, and the Lord is tarrying. And so we say, people, eventually, it's kind of like if people fall asleep and they go to sleep for a while, but they're not dead or in a coma, and they're asleep for a long time, and they wake up, and you're kind of groggy, and you're looking around, you're like, I don't know about today. I think I'm going to stay in today. So they close their eyes, and they wake up, and they close their eyes. Their body is literally beckoning them, get up out of bed. Get up out of bed, lazy bones, because the sun is up. The sun is up. People are moving around. The world is continuing apace. And what are you doing, son? Sleeping in the light? What's wrong with you? Get up. Get up. And so what happens? People eventually, they get up out of bed. Nobody grabbed them. Nobody grabbed them. It's just part of the makeup and design. Same thing with the rise of the GladTrads, part of the makeup and design. Just be glad you're part of that wave. Be glad you're part of that wave. So, all right, let's go real quick. Just as an announcement. In fact, no. I'm not gonna show Telegram first. Okay. In fact, I might not even show it at all, because I'm going to show it here in this video. This one, real quickly, is just a promo. It's real short. It's for a video that I did for patrons. So I'm talking right now, if you're one of those people who you've done the right thing, right? And you've said, I love PaleocratDiaries, and I want to just throw him just bags full of cash. If that's you, and you're like, here, take my money back, sir. And I'm throwing it into the pool of gold coins and diamonds at my house. And I'm like, yeah, woo. No, if you're one of those that gives what you can, right? And you're one of the different tiers. We have 3 different tiers over at Patreon. Or at Wix, okay, or at the website. So it's either one. I say patrons. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking Patreon. So you could be over at Wix, at PaleocratDiaries.com, or you could be, of course, over at Patreon, over at PaleocratDiaries. But either way, this is a message for you, okay? And so I'm going to show you, I will show you, as soon as this video is over, I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. Because, well, I'll let the video speak for itself. I will eventually begin making Patreon the most bare-bone thing in the world. I'm just telling you, because Patreon cannot do anything like this at all. And this is a free app, and there's no money to this. I don't make any money to this. I'm only excited about this because I've seen what it can do. I've seen how people's lives are transformed. I'm seeing how people are connecting together. They're using gifts and talents. They're praying for each other, and God is doing great things. I'm seeing it. And it's becoming the envy of other groups that they're saying, oh my gosh, what is this thing? What is this group, this wolf pack? Where are they coming from? I got all these wolf emojis in my live stream now. What is that from? That's from this. And people are bonding. People are coming together. And it's powerful. And so it lets you make those decisions. It's not curating your news feed. It's not pumping propaganda into your news feed. There's nothing. It is entirely 100% up to you. If you want help with this, if you say, Jeremiah, okay, you convinced me I want to go, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know what some of this stuff means. Just message me in the group. That's all you got to do. Just private message me. I can set up a just call right there to you. Just call you right there, and I can share the screen and walk you through it and show you exactly what buttons you got to push for whatever you want to do. And I will help you with that. It's worth it. This is what this is about. We're dreaming bigger thoughts. We're thinking outside the box. We're pushing buttons and envelopes left and right. And we want to ensure you, we want to assure you, right, that we're doing everything we can ensure to be here for the long haul. We don't want to leave ourselves open, susceptible to being censored. We don't want that. That's not good for us. It's not good for you. You love the show. You want to see this thing go to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But the truth is, we're like a TARDIS. We're bigger on the inside. It's one of the reasons I look at people and I say, they're sad because the numbers of their show are down, or they don't get a lot of views. We don't get a lot of views. Most of our shows don't even get 1,000. And you know what? Here I am smiling and carrying on. And why? Because behind the scenes, inside that TARDIS known as PaleocratDiaries, it's a massive, wonderful world of prayer, pictures, MP3s, right? Different kinds of audios that you can share, music libraries, picture libraries, GIFs, all of that stuff. PDFs and articles. I didn't even show you how it stores links. Same exact thing. Every link you share stores it for easy memory and recall. That's massive. So I'm not worried about how small the box is, because I know how big the world is on the inside. And it's getting bigger and bigger all the time. Every day, all the time. Because of people just like you. Totally true. Totally true. And I feel badly that promo at the end, I talk about a lot of the little things, right? We have a prayer chain. We have spiritual direction. So if you're somebody we have a deacon that within his capacity, within the limitations of his capacity, that he would be willing to meet with people, to talk with people. He's a really, really amazing guy. We set up a room specifically for that. We've got a prayer chat, a prayer chain, which I went through yesterday. I showed somebody, right? In fact, I showed Nick, and I wish that I had that video. I may even just have to find it. Because remember the video with David Gray talking about how he doesn't understand what I'm talking about? He's like, I don't know what in the world this guy's talking about, but I can't turn him off. I just am watching and I'm like, it's like that Clockwork Orange thing and my eyes are just open. I can't turn it off. It's so entertaining. That episode, that was on a show, Old Fashioned Catholics. That show tonight at 10:30, I'm going to be on that program. Now, is that, I need to figure this out. Was that 10:30 Central Time? Was he asking if I was going to be on Central Time? Or is he one of those people? And what's up with that? Where are all these folks coming from? I don't know. Where are they coming? Yeah, it is Central Standard. He's asking if I'm going to be on at 11:30 Eastern Standard. Okay, I got you. I'm good. I can do it, man. I can do it. Yeah, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. But I can definitely do it. So tonight at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, because I'm not playing that game. There's no Central Standard. It's fake. These are LARPers. They're LARPing it up. Oh, there's only 2 time zones. Well, there's 3. There's, of course, you have your Eastern Standard, your Pacific Standard, but you also have, of course, the new and highly improved KST. That's the Kaiser Standard Time. Everything rolls with an ish at the end, 11-ish, something like that. Imagine telling your boss, I'm on Kaiser Standard Time. Yeah, good luck with that, guys. So, but tonight at 11:30 Eastern Time or 10:30 Central Standard Time, I'm going to be on the show with those guys. And so I'm really excited about that. I think I want to talk about being glad. I think maybe more about suffering and stuff, things like that. Because they don't normally talk about like people's work. But he's really wanting to talk about he's really fascinated and wanted to talk about my conversion story. But we've talked about that, haven't we? We've talked about that in a couple different places. You can see actually a video about atheists converting to Catholicism after their daughter's life and death with brain cancer. That video is on my Paleocrat YouTube channel, which you can also, that's where I broadcast yesterday. That's where I broadcast the premiere. The premiere, not realizing, oh yeah, I thought I could do an unlisted video and it would if you premiered it, it would still premiere as an unlisted video, like to the anybody you shared the link with. No, it's public. And there was a phone number on there. It said, oh no, my wife is going to kill me. She's going to be getting all of these calls now from all over the world, and they're, all these scamsters. They figured out, they're like, oh yeah, look at this. We found somebody dumb enough to premiere a phone number on the screen. And so, yeah, don't kill me, Angela, but it really happened. She's hearing it right now, literally for the first time. She didn't know last night. So she's hearing it. She's in the other room. I'm waiting for her to come in with a cranky face behind me, looking like one of those angry Muppets, like really mad and stuff. But that's, so you can see my conversion story, my testimony over there. There's also over at Meaning of Catholic, I did one conversion story with Tim Flanders. Actually, that's one of Tim's early ones. When he wasn't kind of trying, he wasn't even trying to hide the fact that he's a man in black. You know what I mean? One of the deep staters and stuff. And so he's wearing like the black suit and the white shirt and the black tie and the black rimmed glasses and kind of looking down at the time. He had his camera on his, I think, computer. So he's like looking down at it in the shade, just kind of gave him that look and everything. And so, but that's on there. And then, of course, did one with Timothy Gordon, and that's the theology of childhood cancer. And then they've got one that I did recently with Michael Lofton. And if you haven't seen, there's a you should go over and check it out, man. Every Monday I'm over there, same time, right? Just different channel. So I'm over there and I'm talking about secular age, and it was really good. Actually, there was a video I showed. What video did I show on Monday over there? It was a bunch of fun. I don't know what video that was. I don't even want to go through and try to. Yes. It was a video that really talks about like how did all this come around, and it would be really good. Not today. I won't do it today. I'll do another episode where I show those again, where I talk about it and stuff. Maybe I'll show the. Should I do this, guys? Should I do this? There's one. No, I'm not gonna do it. There's Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna. I'll show this one. Why not? Okay, we're gonna show one funny one because it's a GladTrad one, right? So we're having a good time. I'm not gonna show the fart bag one because I'm trying to stick with the brand here, guys. Like it's hilarious. I talk about what Catholic gentlemen should not do because there's this TikToker. This dude, he's TikToking it up, and he does this terrible thing to his mom. I mean, it's like really terrible. And I give life lessons, right? From it's one of the many different stories from life lessons published by School of Hard Knocks. So I talk about different things, that happened in life. You can find that. I won't share it here. I'll share it on. I'll post it over at my YouTube channel and stuff over there. But I shared this one, so I'll share it here in case you're one of those who, for whatever reason, you're not going over to Reason in Theology. You're not going over there, and you're like, I don't want to hear about secular age. I don't want to hear about where we are right now. I don't want to know more about how we got here and what this is and how we can not only live and survive, but how we can thrive and emerge triumphant. I don't want to know anything about that. If you're one of those people, you can at least laugh about this over here. So I'm going to drop it in. You're going to hear this for a quick second. Then I'll have to line it up, start it back over, and we'll go. So just hold on. It's going to be loud for a second. Here we go. Oh, here's another clowning around moment. Yeah, right there. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's line this bugger up. We're going to restart this one. You can already see it's nonsense. You can already see total nonsense. So here we go. It's one of the funny clips we share over at Telegram. I'll show Telegram real quick, and then we're busting a move, and we're going to go right into today's program. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Round moment. Let's see here. Cosmopolitan, this is healthy. No, it's not.
No, it is not.
So, okay. Somebody could be bedridden, but in good spirits. That's healthy. Somebody could have diabetes, but they're telling good jokes. That's healthy. But that is not healthy. Oh, but then again, look at this. We've got Dr. Health on the bottom. Bro doesn't know what he's talking about. What a cuckoo crazy. What a weird world we're in. And again, this is all under the guise, the banner, rationalism. Yeah, looking pretty good. Thank God that we don't have to go one argument by one argument by one argument at a time. That's a weird little game that they can play. They can say, well, we're going to look at this and this and this. We're in the world of paradigms. We're in the place where worldviews matter. These are narratives, it's true. But the thing is, you're going to have to put these stuff together to say, look, what is your story? Does it inspire? Does that inspire you? What does it inspire you to do? Go to the all-you-can-eat? Mound down a bunch of freaking Arby's? Take up a career in mukbanging? I'm going to stop it there because there is there is more to it and it gets edgy. I'm not going to do it. I realized it as I'm playing. I'm like, oh no. Oh no, I can imagine Tim. It's another spitting out his coffee all over his keyboard moment. He'd be fuming mad. He'd be like, dude, bro, what is this? What is going on? All right. Okay. We're having fun though. We're having fun, so we're gonna go ahead. Let's remove that one. Yeah, but these videos, they're all over at Telegram. It's a whole bunch of fun over there. Speaking of Telegram, here we go. Okay, this is I was talking about for the patrons. Okay, so we've got, of course, you see the PaleocratDiaries Wolfpack chat over there. That's my work folder. So you got PaleocratDiaries, you got Reason and Theology, all that stuff. It's a whole bunch of fun. Okay, so we do a bunch of happy fun times over there. But as you can see, look, there's live chats and how they work on Telegram. So we do different live chats. That's just a demo, but you can see if it were to play a little longer, my wife is in there. She's on video. Anthony Rodriguez, he's a mod. Not only he's the main man. He's my right-hand guy on all the Telegram channels. He is the right-hand man here to the Kaiser. He is. He's the Grand Canonist, in fact. And then, it's true, it's actually part of his title. And then, he's in there, but he's just on audio, so you kind of get a feel for what it's like if you have somebody just on audio and other people on video. And you can download that. You can download that video. This is an MP3 of that, okay? Right there. This is one of these bubble chats that you can do where you can, let's see what happens here. So, yeah, okay, so that right there, you can see, moves around. Those are 1 minute timed videos. You got audio you can do that uploads as an audio. You got your stickers. People have made I think 30 stickers or more, inspired by the program here. Let's get that bugger out of here. Yeah, here's a GIF. It plays. They do that whenever it's like temper tantrum guy, You got emojis sometimes that are animated, stickers that are animated. Right here's another demo. It's an exclusive video. I shared that over on Patreon. It's an exclusive video where I read Lord Lundy from Cautionary Tales by Hilary Belloc. You got PDFs that are available, Catechism of Trent, the whole thing. These are the different pages that are connected with PaleocratDiaries. We got the Wolfpack chat. It's the main place right there. That's our jam. That place is bumping constantly. You've got Wolfpack resources. That's where we put all of the resources we talk about on the show. That's going to be, that's a public thing, though. You got your Wolfpack prayer chain. We have now, it's got to be like 100. It's like 100 or more. 100 or more prayer requests. We got to follow up on some of these, though, to find out how do things work out. Do you want us to pray about it longer? What are things, has it changed a little bit and we need to refocus what the prayer is about? What's going on? But we keep track of it. Okay, Hallelujah, the moderator, not only here, but on other channels as well. And she's the one who brought us up. By the way, thank you, Haley. I'm dead serious. Thank you. You don't even know. I mean, talking to Nick from Old Fashioned Catholics, it was such a great conversation. We were up really late talking. Just the two of us is great, and it was because you brought it up, and it changed a lot for both of us. So we're really, in fact, quite indebted to you. Right here, PaleocratDiaries. That's just me, so you won't need to deal with other comments and the craziness of the the stream of thought that doesn't sleep, that sort of thing. We've got the book club of the Canine Brigade. We have a meeting coming up, I think, on Saturday. And so that's coming up. And then, of course, right here, we got Deacon Joe and his spiritual advice chat. Okay, so we got that. I got links to all of them. You've got MP3s, right? In that, and I'll show you what that does in a minute. But MP3s, whether it's an audio, whether it's a homily, whether it's just a lecture, presentation of different kinds, music, chant, whatever. Any of that stuff gets put into a music library. There's no commercials, of course. Then you've got different videos that I did. This one I shared over there. This is us praying, my wife and I, on our 19th wedding anniversary, which I would have celebrated on the show, but I didn't do the show on Friday. I'm like, no way, Jose. Not doing last Friday's show. Not doing it. But we went to the National Cemetery where my daughter is buried, and we prayed. We went to, it was just the two of us, and we went out there and we prayed an Ave Maria, 12 of them for every year that she was alive, and 5 Glory Bees for the years that she's been gone. And we recorded it, and so you can pray along with us. It's a really cool video. Fun videos like that where my kids are doing ridiculous things like playing a nose harp for fun. There's the book club. learning to pray the little office of the Blessed Virgin Mary, pictures, all sorts of stuff. People coming in, individuals coming in. And then today, look, this is a patron talk, okay? Patron talk right here, okay? This is so much easier than going to Patreon, than going to Wix and trying to do everything else. These are the screenshots we'll use today. Those are the screenshots we're going to be using today. So, speaking of, yeah, do you hear that sound? Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? I know you do. That is the PaleocratDiaries alert system. That sound, listen to that call. It's the clarion call, it's the conch, it's the shofar. Right now, Anthony in New York City, he's blasting the conch. You got Veronica. She's over in England. What is she doing? She's British, so she's got one of those really long horns that they use on the Ricola commercials. Doing that. Didgeridoos going left and right. Everybody, you got people blasting the shofar on their rooftops, and neighbors are like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "We are announcing it is about to begin." What? What's about to begin? Part 7. Father Lasance, his guide to young men and young women that I have placed in parentheticals and said, it don't matter how old you are. These lessons are life lessons. We apply them across the board. We blend them together to make them applicable, because we need to understand to be fully equipped in these terrible, terrible times to face the wickedness that is literally breathing down our necks every single day. Because we're sick and tired. We are sick and tired of throwing our hands up in the air in despair. We're sick and tired of being cynical. And that's all it is. That is not joy. That is not gladness. That is not a sense of fullness and wholeness and hope that says we can march forward, resolved on something super simple. Take a knee for Christ the King. Give it everything you got. Never give up. Keep on smiling. And remember that you and I and everyone you see, one day, we too shall die. So what do? Dream big. Give it everything you've got every single day. That's what we do. And we're strong in that because we know the end game. We know because Calvary meant something. Calvary meant something not just 2,000 years ago, but in the end. And it's triumphant. It's glorious. It's all things until the last one is death. Super grateful. Super grateful for all of you. All right, we're going over here. Let's go to window capture real quick. Let's get out of Telegram. We are out of that. Okay, we are now into the octagon. Okay, so we don't need to worry about any of that. So, okay, right there, Anthony Rodriguez. That's the guy blessing the conch. That's the guy with the conch signal. Okay, you got, yeah, of course, dude, Anthony's just, that's the trump card right there. That right there is why he's the grand canonist, right there. Yep, he's got my back. He's got my coffee ready for me and everything. Everything. Super excited about that. What's up, Steven? What's going on, bro? How you doing? How you doing on videos? Dude, yeah, that's a different story. So, okay, your hubby and I were talking about our wives the other night and how thankful we are for you ladies. Thought I would drop a line of appreciation your way as well. Thank you, by the way, Stephen. Yeah, so my wife, that's the mod in there. She's one of those with that little handy dandy tool there. So you better watch out. You better watch out. She is on the ball. She's my mega hot half Korean wife. Okay, mega hot, right? Super amazing wife, beauty queen. Beauty queen. I might have her come in here later, give me a little something on the cheek. I might do it. You know, Kaiser's calling, baby. Kaiser is calling for a kiss on his cheek. All right, let's see. Diane, God bless Diane. It's always great to see you. It's always great to see you. The wolf, the prayer, the rose. Yes, and by the way, just as a reminder for people to pray, there are various various decisions going on, rather large decisions going on pertaining to life issues. And so please, pray a rosary for that. Pray a rosary as often as you can anyway. And people have said they found it just easier if you're in the car and you pray some, and then you're at work and you pray some, and you're walking around and you pray some, you're making food and you pray some. that sometimes that makes it easier for people who live a very, a life of great activity. And so, you're one of those, like in that SpongeBob episode where he's like playing the role of the mom or whatever, and he's got like 5 different arms or 8 different arms doing different tasks around the house and everything. He's ironing and washing and tending to a baby and all this other stuff. If you're one of those people, and I mean, that's true especially for the ladies. Yeah, I'm serious. You got to give it up. These ladies take care of us, boys. It's true. These ladies take care of us. It's reciprocal, of course. Yes. Yeah, Peter says, I've heard life is not meant to be easy. It's one of those things. I don't think that it makes it easy. I mean, you're talking to a guy, and I'm not meaning to think that you're just being antagonistic about it, but the idea that when you talk about being a GladTrad, right, and you're talking about joyful and being hopeful, there's kind of this thing. I think it's a modern reaction because we're also secular and cynical at this point. I think that because it's affected us and infected us so badly that when people hear that, it makes it sound like, oh, you just say life is easy. My daughter died of brain cancer. I live without her. I'm sitting literally where she died, man. That's not easy. That is something you carry with you. But at the same time, you cast your cares on Christ, right? Isn't his burden light? Isn't that yoke easy? It doesn't mean that it's not painful. It doesn't mean that it's not sad. We pray the valley of tears just like everybody else. I prayed just recently. We prayed the Rosary of Our Lady of Sorrows. We prayed that. We meditated on the sorrows of Our Lady. And you say, look, that's all part of this. But to me, it strikes a balance of that and says, what's the emphasis? I mean, you don't want to. If someone's a gloomer doomer or doomer gloomer, that's somebody. I guess they're traditional in that sense. But if they have to fall one direction or another, it's the doom and gloom stuff. Boarding up the window, grabbing all the wax candles and such. That's what they're doing. And you say, okay, well, I heard there's joy in this too. And so we can balance that out. But it's one of those things that says, at the end of the day, we are glad because we're alive right now. We're glad because Christ came. We're glad because he came in the flesh. We're glad because he died for us and rose again, that he provided us with a church and with sacraments. We have a bazillion reasons to be glad. That doesn't mean we're not working by the sweat of our brow. It doesn't mean that we're not doing that. Or that there's not thorns in this world, or that we don't make mistakes. I mean, we sin. But even in that, we have to be glad that we can go in that line of confession. We have to be able to be contrite, but we have to have the kind of gladness, the kind of joy in our life that recognizes that he's changed us. Otherwise, even with that, we would be led to scruples. No, so it's not, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It's sometimes I might say things that lead to that conclusion. I'd say we need to be in a world, for example, like in a mindset that I think I've used the description saying it's like Winnie the Pooh, right? Winnie the Pooh floating on a leaf on a whitewater rapid river and just kind of floating along with a smile on his face and his hand and a thing of honey sitting there licking away in a blustery day and stuff. And that, yes, that's true. But I think that's the kind of conclusion some people could make about St. Therese of Lisieux. And say, oh, you're the infant Jesus' plaything. He's just bouncing you around and you're just a rubber ball. I mean, think of that. And she'd say, well, yeah, I'm perfectly resigned to that. But that might include getting slammed up against the wall. It might include getting struck by lightning on the river on a blustery day with storm and stuff. You might actually get hurt. But it's okay. Even that, you got to resign yourself, don't you? And isn't there some kind of a joy in that? Can't you be glad that, and compare it to a world where you're not resigned? Compare it to a world where you're not resigned, where somebody's a control freak or somebody's in an imminent frame of exclusive humanism that believes that everything is just material, there's nothing beyond this world, and I'm suffering right now. And there's no redemption even in the suffering. Isn't redemptive suffering in and of itself a little bit of joy even in the sadness? A little bit of joy even in the pain? Isn't it? Isn't there a little bit of joy carrying that cross because you know that the one you're carrying for already defeated death? Yeah. And as I said, I'm not meaning. I'm just using that as a platform to say, look, I'm not meaning to say you're being, cynical about it or anything like that. Yeah, but life's not meant to be easy. It is meant to be hard, right? There's great struggle in it, in fact, right? That's actually I take a position that it's warlike. That's why I say that I'm a joyful warrior. Update on Andrew Stahl. Your prayers are being heard. God bless you all. The nurse called and said the stepfather, dude, okay. Look, guys. Calm down, bro. Andrew Stahl, I mentioned him recently. That took me off guard. I'm like all pumped up and I see this and it's like, phew, so just hold on. Hold on, let me get a drink here. I tell people we have a prayer chain, right? And I say we get all these prayer requests. I'm not joking. We pray for people. People can trust that we do because we save it recorded. That way people can pray along with us. They can put it on in their car. They can pray along with us in the house. We do different kinds of chaplets and stuff. And rosaries and hours and everything. We do different things, different kinds of prayers for different days or reasons and whatnot. We're learning all different kinds. But we really pray for people. And I remember I shared this thing of this guy named Andrew Stahl. And Andrew was like the freakiest and geekiest paleocrat fanatic that I've ever seen. He's going through, and he was the guy that I mentioned who said that he went to confession and said he's tired with all the divisiveness. He's tired with being that way, and he wants to be a GladTrad. He's joining the wolf pack. Well, he didn't right away, so we hunted that guy down, didn't we? We did. I said, we got to go find him. And when I said it, people had already found him, and he'd found his way over to PaleocratDiaries. When he got there, in the wolf pack, everybody's like, Andrew, and going nuts. He's like, holy cow. I walk in, and like all these people are like waiting, like we're all looking at him, We're like, we've been waiting for you, dude. Well, it wasn't long after that. It was like a week. He gets a phone call. And his stepdad got COVID, and his stepdad got it real bad. Okay? Ended up having to be put on a ventilator. And he had to leave. He's in Ohio. He has to hop on that jet plane. He has to fly out all the way to El Paso to be with his mom so that he can advocate for his dad and what might possibly be his stepfather's final days. And so, it's a terrible thing. And he reaches out and says, please, guys, pray. We did that night. We did an emergency prayer right there. We said, we're doing it. Boom. We prayed. And we've been praying ever since. I've heard word that his stepfather has been baptized. And now I'm hearing word that the nurse called and said that his stepfather is off of sedation. He still has a vent, but he's responding to communication by nodding and squeezing a hand. They're going to try and step him down to a BiPAP today and see how he does. God is good. This is the kind of thing that brings me joy even in sadness. This is the kind of thing you're looking and saying, look, what do you do when you're in a bind? You go and you say, please, guys, pray for me. And we start howling. We start doing the conch. We start doing the shofar, letting everybody know, the smoke signals, and everybody's letting each other know. And people are coming in and people are praying left and right, asking for updates, man, what's going on? Andrew is not alone. Andrew's not alone. His mom is not alone. His stepdad is not alone. And if something did happen, his stepdad would all of a sudden, man, we're talking pearly gate stuff. He'd be like, whoa. He'd be like, this is crazy. Let's even say purgatory, right? Let's say purgatory has been a long life and other things. Going to purgatory, doing your thing. But realizing that it's purgatory. And even there, the fact that you're there, you know where you're going. You're benefiting from prayers. It's hard. But you're not alone. And so, thank you, man. Seriously, I love you guys. It's why I'm so proud of this whole thing. I'm so proud of everything we're doing. And how organic it is, how it comes together. And people, we were just ripe for this, weren't we? There was no plotting and scheming like, okay, let's manipulate this situation and that one, and we're going to make it all come together, and I'm going to control it all. That's not how it happens. It's not how it happened, it's not how it happens now, and it's not how it ever will happen. In fact, if it ever started playing like that, we would fail. We would fail because that would be us wanting to take total control over it. And you think when you're doing the total control thing, that you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm a smooth navigator. No, you're not. You're literally choking it out. Just choking that bugger out to your own demise. So never. Yeah, someone's talking about Doctor Who reference. We need to start tallying the Doctor Who reference. Dude, check out the scarf. What are you talking about? It's like a 13... I don't know how long this is. I don't want to yell out there over this. I think it's like 13 feet long or something like that. My wife made it. She even put little tassels for me at the end. Yeah. So I got to like wrap it around, like sometimes like depending on if I'm, where I'm going, if I want to have it down to my waist, I got to wrap it around twice around my neck. This is just one. But yeah. Yeah, Nagel, mute the notifications, homie. Over on Telegram. You got to do it. David Gray, it's good to have you here. David Gray. Central Time? No. There is no Central Time, David. There's no such thing as Central Time, dude. No way. David Gray knows Central is the one that matters. Yeah, to anybody who lives in that fake place. It's like medieval times, like the restaurant, but it's like an entire section of our country. You go there and you're like, there is no such thing as that. Next time I drive through Central Time, I'm going to yell that at people. Yeah, CST equals anathema. It's true. Yeah, David says, I'm usually here. This is like watching WWF. I love it. Dude, I am so glad, David. I am so glad. Yes, with metal folding chairs and everything, man. Yes, all right. So I'm happy to see you. Christine, of course, I'm happy to see you. Christine's a prayer warrior. In fact, Christine, you got to get involved as a mod over at the prayer chat. You're one of those, you and Diane, you could probably really, help out in any way you want. And Haley, she can tell you, right? And if she tells you anything otherwise, she's totally tricking you. I do not, I don't tell them like, do this or do that. Right? The only rule is if a group is associated with us, that it has to have either me or Anthony or my wife in the case of the Luna Pack, somebody from the core group to be part of that, and it has to have some kind of an indication, not in the name. You can see sometimes it's not even in the name, right? It's just, it's like, but it has to be in a description that this is in association with the Wolfpack chat or something like that, or PaleocratDiaries. Other than that, you do what you do. You do what you do. And only do it as much as you want to do it. Only do it as often and as, for as long as you want to do it. From the angles and takes, you don't even need to worry about. If you're a prayer warrior, you love praying and everything else, and you love just getting people excited about prayer, you don't have to do the mod thing either. I'm just saying, you ladies, you're inspirational. Inspirational. Yeah, Steven, okay, there's the alert, dude. Yes, dude. Look, isn't that it? That's the alert. No, and all over the place. All right, let's see. Yeah, was that 80s music before? Yeah, man, I'll play some of that. Yeah, Benoit says, commute driving is when I pray the rosary. Yeah. Yeah, Irene says, as he was dying, Abba Benjamin said to his sons, if you observe these, you can be saved. Be joyful. Pray without ceasing, and give thanks for all things. Straight up. Irene, thank you. In fact, I'm going to screenshot that real quick, because we're at the end of this, and we're going into the chapters here. I'll share that screenshot. I just screenshot it just now. I'll make sure to share that over at PaleocratDiaries on Telegram, as well as into the Wolfpack chat, stuff like that. So very, 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 very cool. Oh yeah, Angela, she's correct about this. She did not make this one, the one that I'm wearing. I made one for you, but that one was Samantha's for Make-A-Wish. So this one right here, this is and it makes sense, doesn't it? Like, I love you, Ange, and I love the one you made, but this is the one Sammy wore when she was at the Make-A-Wish, when we went over to London in England, and we went to Cardiff in Wales to see the Doctor Who Museum, and this is what she wore. You can see it. She wore it all the time. You see pictures of her in a little wheelchair and stuff, her little pink wheelchair with the light-up wheels and stuff. She's an amazing little girl, and rest in peace, baby. I love you. And this is what she wore. Yeah, Christine says, I'll always be praying for the wolf pack and Team Tiny Dancer forever. And I need to get past this or I'm going to cry again. Don't do it. Don't make me cry, Christine. Don't make me cry. It's been awesome to see how because a lot of people who follow the show, they're like, Team Tiny Dancer, what is that, Or Samantha, you talk about your daughter. Okay, yeah, your daughter, what about this? And people who go to the Wolfpack, they started to see more and more and more, and they're just falling in love with that girl. They're falling in love with that girl. In fact, I know one person who has two pictures of her on the desk where he works. He framed them. One of them that says, never give up, keep on smiling, and another one that I told him, I said, that's actually probably my favorite one ever, where she's got her shaved head, she's got a massive scar, it's still got stitches, it's scabs and stuff, and she has an ice cream cone in her hand, because we didn't sneak out, like she wasn't allowed to leave her room for a while. They're like, no, she can't leave the room, and so I finally I'm like, dude, she's literally, I went out and I talked to the nurse, and I said, she's getting cabin fever in there, it's really bad. And she's like, cabin fever? I'm like, oh yeah, it's really affecting her. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, look, we need to get her out of here, stat. So we got out, we got her out of there. We went down and we got some ice cream and stuff. And it was awesome, but she's kind of peeking out from behind, like if she's doing this behind, imagine this is an ice cream cone, right? And she's kind of looking at the camera, but her eyes look ancient. It's like when you look into a wolf's eyes and you can see just this kind of, this very, very ancient thing happening. You're like, wow, it's a TARDIS in itself. You're like, your eyeballs are a TARDIS on me. I'm seeing back in time, or seeing into the future. I don't know. I'm still discerning this. But with my daughter, it was like there was a maturity in her eyes. It was just powerful. She was sagacious, and she was absolutely splendid. She was an amazing girl, and she's got kind of a little smile, half smile on her face, just barely peeking through. And it's one of those things where you wonder, what did she know, right? What was up her sleeve? And it's just such a great picture. And he took both those and he put them on his desk. So I'm really glad that people that they're joining in. And by the way, thank you, Anthony. The link to our Telegram is right there in the chat. You can go ahead and click that. It's simple. The letter T.me/thewolfpackchat. T.me/thewolfpackchat. You can, of course, do that on your phone or on an app. You can get the App Store or whatever. Or they have a web version, too, and you can do it there. So, all right. Okay, we're talking about Lasance. What time is it? Okay, we're good. We're not bad. We're having a good time. So, all right. We've talked about how we're living in this terrible time, right? We're living in this secular age. It's super difficult. Everybody's frustrated. Everybody's affected by this, infected by it. Maybe not even realize it. Most people don't. They were born into it, kind of like the youngins right now that are born into a world where there's devices everywhere, right? They've never known life without the internet. It's kind of like when I was young and I would talk to, my dad, and there was no computer when he was a kid. They had a TV, but they had like one, Or there was no cell phones. I guess I didn't have cell phones when I was a kid. I had the one on the wall with the cord that always got tangled and stuff, And I remember how cool we thought we were when we got one of those cordless phones, and it had like the antenna that's 12 feet long. You just stick it out the door like a radio tower and stuff, like the really ridiculous phones that were on Saved by the Bell. Zach's carrying around and it looks like a cinder block on the side of his head, that kind of a thing. Or my dad talking to his mom about a world before there was radio. So we all know what it's like to have something where you go, I've never lived in that world, and I've only lived in this one, and so it's hard for me to imagine. Like I can imagine it in the sense that it's like, okay, I get it. You didn't have that before, but we have to work really hard to figure out, kind of think it through. And more than that, imagine in our day-to-day affair, and imagine in a way where we're not even really thinking about it. It's more like an Overton window on what you see and do not see as part of your reality, as part of the existence that you have, the water that the frog is boiling in, that sort of a thing. It's the environment wherein you live, move, and have your being, and ours is secular. And so we oftentimes, like the frog, don't even understand how much it's affected us. Even those who are very, very religious. In some ways, especially people who claim to be very, very religious, right? That sometimes they don't even understand to what degree modernity has affected them. For example, we were talking recently, I had a good conversation with my friend Veronica. We were talking about music. You know, she watched a debate that we had a while ago on Meaning of Catholic about it and stuff like that. And we were talking about it. And I said, you know, we live in a world where we'll read books all the time by, let's say, St. Alphonsus, or we'll read books by St. Teresa of Avila. And we'll see in there that she's writing to her sisters, or he's writing to priests that are part of the order, or whatever. And we read that and we kind of gloss over it. Or we read encyclicals or something that would be written to the bishops and the priests around the world. And we read that and we gloss over it. That is modernity. Number one, that we're reading it online and stuff, that we're like, oh yeah, I have access to all the encyclicals all of a sudden, you know? And sometimes we don't recognize audiences. And we don't recognize not just that it was written to them, because people could say, okay, yeah, it was written to them, but it applies to us, right? And you go, yes, but even there's this leveling that's taking place. And in this leveling that's taking place, we see that with the way that things that were formerly kind of reserved to the church and the liturgy and into convents and monasteries and the like, that those things have kind of seeped out, right? It became porous. And those ideas and those practices, right, those disciplines, those things have seeped out and have begun to saturate the laity. And there was an expectation that arose that you had to be devout. You needed to be reading the stuff that's being spoken of inside those buildings. But that wasn't always the way it was. In fact, in part because a lot of people didn't know how to read. And that's one of the many reasons why. But it was also because it was a really sharp line. There was a much sharper line of division within the hierarchy that said this person is dedicating their entire life to this project. That's why they even had certain places on the outskirts of town, or that a church would be centered in the town, because it was a different role. The hustle and the bustle of day to day would go around, and it's one of the reasons the bells are ringing, people kneel. So you see a connection, it's not a disconnect, but you see the level of expectation is different. So modern people, they have kind of an interesting view on what's expected of them, what's demanded of them. And some of that comes from good things. It's good that we have been saturated. It's good that the church has rained these things down upon us, or unleashed them upon us, and allowed us not only to see but to partake. And that there's a degree of expectation that we learn, and that we apply those things we learn. That's a good thing. But sometimes we get caught up in an overemphasis. And that overemphasis that we get caught up in, some of those become enthusiasms. That's just true. That's the core of it, right? And so we forget the basics. And we've said here, talking about apologetics, that this apologetic method that we talk about on this show is within the continuity of the new evangelization, and saying that it's not just about premise to conclusion. It's not just about how powerful is your syllogism. It's not what it is. There's something more. And in fact, on Monday's show, it was a great example of it. There was a guy in the comment section that was saying that he's been studying Catholicism for quite a while. He knows the arguments. He's convinced, right, of not only the arguments for Catholicism, but with God and stuff like that. But there's still something inside him that he's not there. And I said, that's the majority of people. They don't sit there and go, oh, there's an unmoved mover. Okay, I'm going to go to confession today. An unmoved mover, there's the first cause. Out of nothing, nothing comes. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to go and become a Catholic stat. I'm going to go find a church right now, and I'm just going to become a Catholic right now. It's much more than that. And so we're focused on the more. We're focused on the idea of how it applies to your everyday life. About how we share thoughts and feelings, that we're lovers of the brethren, tender-hearted, modest, and humble, that we don't repay injury with injury, harsh words with harsh words, that we bless those who curse us, right? And we know that we're going to be blessed in doing so. Yes, long life and prosperous days. Who would have these things for the asking? Yeah, my counsel is keep your tongue clear of harm, and your lips free from every treacherous word. Neglect evil, Do good. Let peace be thy quest. Seriously, think about it. And so far we're not hearing, and make good arguments. We're not hearing that, right, guys? Enthrone Christ as Lord in your hearts. There we go. That's taking a knee for Christ the King every single day in all you do, in all your thoughts, words, and deeds. That's what we talk about. If anyone asks you to give an account for the hope you have and cherish, be ready at all times to answer. Be courteous, but courteously and with due reverence, because what matters is that you should have a clear conscience, so the defamers of your holy life in Christ will be disappointed by their calumny. So you go, yeah, don't be afraid of the threats. Know that you've got to suffer, and be prepared to give an account for the hope you cherish. And I said, that's not always, that's different than saying for the first cause, the unmoved mover, right? I said sometimes that's little things, little miracles. And sometimes those little miracles speak louder than anybody trying to put together an apologetic construct to somebody and say, hey, here's my argument. You know, it reminds me, we'll move on here. Let me go ahead and get that out of here. So it kind of reminds me of, oh no, what the blazes? Why did it do that again? I don't understand why it does this sometimes. Okay, hold on. Blackback. Oh no. Let me see properties. Browse. This is not good. Hold on, guys. Hold on. This is bad. Yeah, so I for some reason the last couple times I've done the show, when I go live, I take the time, I put the stuff all in here, right? I have everything lined up, the pictures that we use, and then all of a sudden just bada boom, bada bing, it's not being shown here. So here we go. Let's try this. Let me go ahead and just show these by name. Sorry about that. There we go. I'll just have to drop these things in. So, there was I've told the story before, where you have, this guy comes up to me, he's a homeless guy, and we're passing out hot cocoa and stuff and food in Vancouver, Canada. So we're passing it all out. And he comes up and he asked me, he said, give me a Bible verse, man. And I'm like, what's that? And I'm trying to hand him the hot cocoa. And he's like, just give me a Bible verse. I want to hear the word of God. Just give it to me. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking in my moment, because I'm in Bible college and I've been studying different things and trying to put things to memorization and whatnot. So I'm like going through, like when you ask somebody you're trying to look up a song for them, you say, just pick a song, and they have that decision paralysis, right? Or when you go into the store, your kids go into the store and they're looking at the candy, and you say, you can pick a piece of candy from the candy section. They go in there and they're looking all around, and you're like, you've been there for 5 minutes. You go to a fast food restaurant, if you ever do, you go there and the kids, you're at McDonald's or whatever, and you're like, you're waiting in line for 20 minutes. You tell the kids, think right now. You got to get what you got to get. And you get up there and you're like, what do you want? And they're like, I don't know. Let me look at the menu. And you're like, we've eaten here like 20,000 times. You know the menu. And then they're like, I'd like a chicken nuggets with fries. Like, bro. But they get that paralysis there, right? Well, I had that with this guy. And I was kind of struggling. He's like, and he got mad and kind of waved at me, and somebody came up and said, just John 3:16. They just gave John 3:16 at him, and I looked at him thinking, that's terribly unoriginal. And that guy was so happy. That guy, just tears started to come, And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, I felt so embarrassed and ashamed about that. I felt so embarrassed and ashamed. And I learned a lesson after that sometimes, when talking to people, even people that you think might be super smart. In fact, maybe the people that are really smart, those people know the arguments already. They know the arguments that they would try to use against them. Because there's something deeper than that. It's more personal. Enjoy yourself with moderation and propriety. And by the way, we skipped over some parts in this, because I'm trying to condense the series so it doesn't... He has a lot of advisements, okay? And so we skipped to the part about moderation, propriety, joy, labor, things like that. We're trying to keep a nice continuity of topics on the show, too. St. Philip Neri was a particularly cheerful saint. Okay, so he was particularly cheerful. Let me make sure I've got my stuff in here. Okay, yep. He was merry in the right sense of the word. Okay, he was never. I'm gonna load this one up here. Oh, this is gonna be a real bummer. Oh no, that's not even the right one. No, this is not good. What the heck? He was particularly merry. Wait, here we go. How are we gonna do this? No. All right, let me get the book real quick. That's upsetting because I had it all lined up. I have every single one of these things lined up in there, and I am unsure as to why in the world that would happen. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna get the book out here, and we'll read from it, and I'll know what page it is because of the highlighting. I know the highlighting is a little bit ridiculous, but it's actually going to come in to save me today. That's what's going to happen. That is what is going to happen, folks. So, all right, let's go ahead. I'm going to remove this thing here. Yep. Let's remove that bugger. Remove that. Yes, remove it. So, okay, so this one here is the one with the pink and the green. There we go. Yes, okay, there it is. There it is, folks. All right, whoo. That's good. Okay. Yeah, so St. Philip Neri, he told us he was never gloomy or fretful. He could not bear to see melancholy faces about him. He loved to be surrounded by young people, and he delighted to see them indulging in harmless mirth. In fact, he had it above his door. Right? It was a place of great mirth. If, on the contrary, he perceived that anyone was in a peevish, gloomy mood, he at once asked what was the matter with him. Occasionally he gave such a one a gentle tap on the cheek and said, "Be cheerful." Tap, tap, tap. Right on the cheek. Boom, boom, boom. Right? Who indeed ought to be merry, if not the young? Right? Be of good cheer. Be merry. Enjoy yourself. But with moderation and in the right way. And that's one of those things. Those two last parts, I think, are where people, it's almost like when they see the show and they see GladTrads, and their GladTrads are walking around, having a blast, talking on the Wolfpack chat. They're like, oh, this can't be good. This can't be good. Do you hear that laughter over there? Do you hear them having a good time? They're probably talking about really terrible stuff. No, we're not, actually. We're you want to join our book club? We're talking about St. Teresa of Avila and Interior Castle. What? How is that funny? Well, we're not laughing about that. We're laughing and having a good time, but we're all like, okay, I'll see you over there. Like, we're doing it in moderation. We're not just laughing all the time. Right? It's not like we're all people living in a room with vents pumping ether in the room. You know, that's not the way it is. And it's not all the time. Okay, guys, here's another comedy routine. Just laugh it up and eat some Doritos. No. Practice self-denial. Practice renunciation. Bear and forbear. I'm nevertheless very far from wishing to see you hang your head and look peevish and morose, as if you had something bitter in your mouth. You've seen the people, right? Have you ever been one of those? My kids, I used to take pictures when they would do this. I have a picture of my son, Athen. He's actually here today. He was not feeling very good, so he's going to be mad when he hears this. I have a picture of him where everybody else was like happy. In fact, was it his birthday? Was it his birthday? Something special. It was a day that was really special. And everybody else around him was like really happy. And he's sitting there like this. And his face was like so serious, and he's like staring like the death stare into the camera. Took a picture of that. I used to take pictures of kids when they'd act that way, and it doesn't take long, and they're like, stop! And so they're covering their face. I took a picture of that too. And they're like, nah! And so I got like all these crazy face pictures of the kids and stuff, and by the end they're laughing. And they're like, don't share that! Why not? I mean, aren't you proud of that? No! Well, then stop. Just stop. I'm sure that our Father in heaven prefers cheerful people, if only they are pious and well conducted. Isn't that the thing? I mean, look, that's the sagacious simplicity right there, isn't it? I'm sure that our Father in heaven prefers cheerful people. So, I mean, can you imagine that he doesn't? No. I don't, cheerful people? What? No. Give me the angry ones. Those are the ones I'm all about. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And you're going to get the whole image. I normally would just have like, I would have it tucked in behind everything. Actually, I might be able to do that. Let me see here if I can. Yeah, why would that even be over that? Yeah, why is that going over that anyway? Let me see. Give me one more second. No, that's just very strange. Yeah, it should not. Oh, I know why. I know why. Give me a second right here. So that way we can go down. There we go. There we go. Okay. And now if I wanted to enlarge it, I could. If I wanted to. If I wanted to enlarge it. What in the blazes? Oh, it's because it's up here. I'm like, why is this happening to me? What is going on? I don't mind. You're going to get some little fingers in there. You get some little fingers, but I want you to be able to read it. I want you to be able to read it. Okay? So, it goes through. Let's see here. Donk. Yeah. Not even worrying about it anymore. I'm done. So you use his verses. I'm done, guys. I'm through. Everybody shut down. We're done. I'm so sick and tired of this. Why is it doing that? That drives me bonkers, man. And it's only been when I've used my wife's phone. She's sabotaging me. I think she's sabotaging me, guys. I've used my wife's phone for pictures the last 2 weeks, and the last 2 weeks it's done this weird thing. I'm like, what's going on here? Some kind of setting, probably. But he quotes the Psalms. Thou, Lord, art my protector and the lifter of my head. Thou hast given gladness in my heart. Let all them be glad that hope in thee. I will be glad and rejoice in thee. I will sing to thy name. O thou most high, thou hast made known to me the ways of life. Thou shalt fill me with joys, with thy countenance. At thy right hand are delights, even to the end. Delights. There are delights. Joys, plural. There are joys. Fill me with the joys of your countenance. And you go, you have people, I can imagine the rankled radtrad in here right now. The rankled radtrad is like, you know what, yeah, I'm really joyful. I'm joyful right now, can't you tell? And you're like, no, I cannot tell. There's something weird about it. Hold on. And you take a little eraser and like erase the face off of them. You're like, nope, still sad. Still sad, still mad. Why? No, it's fair to be mad at times. It's fair to be mad at certain things. That's why it's in proportion. But this is letting everybody know, look, we're here to stay, folks. We're here to stay. We're here for the long haul, no matter what comes. No matter what comes. As long as, and he says that you need to be joyful in the true sense of the word, right? So you need to be joyful in the true sense. Let's bring this up. Pull it up. He says, no one has a right to be cheerful who knows that he's not in the grace of God. The slave of sin, the enemy of God, can indeed lead a merry life in the sense in which the world understands these words, but he must tremble and lament and shudder whenever he thinks seriously of hell, which yawns beneath his feet. If you're truly cheerful at heart, then your soul's at peace. Are you somebody, are you an individual that's just merry in the sense that the world understands it, taking no account of God? Why would you be watching this channel? I mean, I'm serious. If you're watching this channel, you're probably someone who's trying very hard to live a pious life. You're somebody who's trying to survive this secular age, and you're trying to thrive in it. You're trying to say, look, I'm going to thrive because I'm putting all my hope, all my faith in the Lord, and I'm allowing him to infuse me with these graces that enables me and empowers me to do better with every thought, word, and deed. That's why. And that when we go to confession, right, that we're truly sorry, that we dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, that we dread these things. That's not what he's talking about. We qualify for joy. We qualify. Trials may indeed arise, but the clouds will never be so heavy as to prevent the bright and cheering rays of confidence in God to pierce through them and lessen their gloom. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, look, we go through hard times. It's super difficult. And yet what? You keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on singing that song to the Lord. Interior cheerfulness will show itself in your exterior. That's why you cannot believe when people tell you that they're joyful and they have to tell you that. No, I am. I'm very joyful. If they have to tell you, there's something up, man. There's something up. They're trying to make an intellectual case that in spite of all the exterior signs and visible things to other people, by the way, God made us with eyeballs for a reason. It's funny because a lot of those same people that say that are the ones that are mad because you can't see faces when you're wearing that thing, you know? You're wearing that and it's like, yeah, but then you won't be able to see faces, and that's a really important thing because how would you ever know if somebody's smiling? People could say, we see in the eyes, and you say, but there's something about the human smile as a whole. And you go, yeah, I know exactly. That's what I'm saying about not seeing it in your face ever, and the only way that you can convince me so is by putting forth some argument that maybe I don't really understand happiness and joy at all, and that you can just be Captain Bitterface 24/7. Bitterface man. That's what, oh, yeah, that guy looks like he's got something stuck, somewhere. He's happy. Do you think so? You think that guy over there? Oh, yeah, really happy. What gives you the impression? I heard a good argument from him one time. He was saying that he just looks really terrible all the time, but deep down inside, he never really, lets it out. He's complaining all the time, and he's saying the world's going to come to an end, and he just hates everybody and everything, and there's hardly anybody that's going to be saved except for him and stuff. But, dude, he's very happy. I mean, you just believe him. Makes a compelling argument. No, dude. No. All the faithful should heed the admonition of St. Paul. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. We begin every show this way, don't we? We do. We begin every show that way. It's awesome. Yeah. Oh, man, what's up with that picture? What's up with this one? It's all crooked. It's all blurry. St. Aloysius found himself in company with some young friends and engaged in a game of chess. Someone suddenly asked what each member of the company would do if he knew that he was to die within an hour. And if you haven't heard the story, don't look anymore, right? And ask yourself, what would you do? What would you do if you were to die in an hour? Just think about it for a second. I'll give you time. I'll pour a little bit more coffee for myself. And I'm dead serious about this. I want you to think about it. If you're in the chat, put on there in the chat what you would do if you knew that you were going to die in an hour. Right? It's a good test here. Oh man, straight to the dome bun. Oh man, getting that caffeine through that blood-brain barrier with the help of this straw. It has to be official length straw, though. Has to be a certain length to get it in the blood-brain barrier. One person said they would repair to the church and engage in prayer. Another said they'd go to confession. But the saint, whose conscience was completely at peace, quietly said, I should continue the game. I would continue the game because I'm playing in accordance with the will of God and the wish of my superiors. So he's living a life of obedience. He's in a state of grace. He's enjoying himself, thinking through difficult and complex moves. And he said, I'd continue this game. I'm good. Would you keep watching the show? Would you keep playing this game and say, look, I'm learning these things. I'm benefiting from this, right? It's strengthening me in spirit and in mind. You know what? If I was going to die, maybe I'd call my mom, but I'd keep old Paleo, the old Kaiser on in the background. I'd love you for it. I'd love you for it. That's what it means to be cheerful. and marry in the right way. If one preserves at the same time so tranquil a state of conscience that even the unexpected appearance of death would not be able to cause too great alarm and apprehension. In this way, judge the amusements, games, and merrymakings in which you like to indulge, the jokes, witticisms, conversations in which you take delight, the time and the money which you sacrifice on your enjoyments. If your conscience doesn't reproach you, right, that your favorite games and amusements are for an occasion of sin, and the time and money you spend on them a piece of extravagance, then you are enjoying yourself in a proper manner. Continue and be cheerful and merry. Yeah, straight up. Straight up, man. You know? It's just that thing where you go, look. You know, it's you and if you have a well-formed conscience, right? If you have a well-formed conscience and you're sitting there and you're striving to form it, and you're saying, look, I'm learning every day. I'm benefiting every day from this. I'm praying every day that God would lead me in this way. I'm learning from the church. I'm submitting and being obedient. I'm honoring my mother and father, and not just my biological ones, but my spiritual ones as well. I'm doing these things. I'm making good on that childlike affirmation, that childlike act of faith that says, I believe these and all of the other things that the Catholic Church teaches. I'm striving to love my neighbor. I'm striving to make use of my time to remember that I will die, to memento mori, to remember that I'll die, and to make my best use. But that doesn't mean you got to be a workaholic. It doesn't mean. Not even for St. Alphonsus. If aught on earth shall give you pleasure, God doth that joy bestow. See that thou take it in due measure, or it may turn to woe. And there it is again. You're going to see it over and over and over. In so many things in life, you do these things in good measure. If you were just all the time, watching comedy 24 Central, just laughing it up, and you never knew when to be serious, that would be a problem. That would be something that would need to be addressed, right? Yeah, and you have to realize that they don't really, that people who don't take a lot of joy in life, he says, many find but a small measure of happiness in this life because they lose sight of their destiny. It's the very object of their creation, which is to know God, to love him, to serve him, and to be happy with him. And if we harmonize our conduct, and we can pray with Ignatius and say, give me, Lord, only thy love and thy grace. With these I shall be rich enough. There's nothing more that I desire. If we're able to say that, then we can find true happiness. We could. I love this right here. There can be no harmony in our being except when our happiness except our happiness coincides with our duty. Right? So you say, look, that idea that says, okay, this is my mandate. This is what I need to do. These are the obligations impressed upon me. I've cried out to God. I've tried to discern what is the vocation for me. I've talked to other people to help me. I've gone to the priest. I've spoken to a director. I've done a novena, whatever. And I have accepted that this is the vocation that God has impressed upon me, that comes out of me in all that I do, that inspires me to be the best that I can be, and to do my best every single day for people who pass by, not taking for granted those moments or those people, those faces and those places. That if you do that, and that's your responsibility in your life, you can be happy. And that makes sense as to why somebody can say that they love what they do and they do what they love. And that's not always what's going to end up happening unless you make that your disposition. You resign yourself to that place and say, God, I resign myself to you. And I might be in a job right now. I'm looking around. I would love to do this. I think this is what I'm ultimately called for, but I don't know how to get there quite yet. And right now I'm doing this particular job. I'm not too proud of it, or anything like that. It's not something to call home to mom about, but I'm bringing in another day, another dollar, and I'm raising my family right. And I'm making it so that I can go to church and I can be involved in that community. And I'm going to the Wolfpack chat all the time. On my free time, when I'm free, when I don't have obligations in that sense, and I want to connect with other people like I would if I was going out different places, that I can say, yeah, that's a moderate amount of time to spend and to do a good job over there. And say, if you do those things, you're harmonizing that. And in that harmony, you will find joy. You will find happiness. You'll find contentment. In fact, you'll find a sense of godly pride that says that it's okay. It's not just okay. It's awesome that you're doing what you're doing. Because that is what God is having you do right now. Enjoy the walk, right? Enjoy that stroll of life with the Lord and say, look, he's by my side. We're on this path. And if I fall down, and maybe it's a little detour. Okay, this is the scenic route. It's the scenic route for where you want to go. Look at it that way. Look around you right now. I'm serious. Just look around you. Think about it. Look around you right now and say, do I love this? Is this what I want to do? Where are you right now? Like, what kind of work are you doing? Are you alone? Are there other people? You allowed to have like headbuds, the earbuds in and stuff? Listening? Is it cranked up on the radio? Are you a manager and you're making everybody listen to this? I hope so. I hope so. You got it on the big screen TV in your office. And people sitting down and they're like, "What's that?" And you're like, "Oh, that right there, yeah, it's PaleocratDiaries." that guy sounds mega dope, and I like his scarf. Yeah, I think I'm going to tune in from now on. Yeah, definitely do that. But look around and ask yourself, take a good look. Think of how you feel, and say, "Is this what I want to do with my life? Do I think God called me to this?" And if not, thank God for taking the scenic route. Thank Him. Just thank Him now. Say, God, thank you. Thank you for letting me take a scenic route. I don't know, what role these people will play in my life. I may not be friends with them for too long after this. That happens a lot, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not friends with a lot of the guys that I went over to the golf course with. I wish I was. I wish I had done better, in fact, about remembering them and reaching out to them over the years. Just even to just kind of see how they're doing and stuff. It doesn't mean that I have to be like, that Facebook feel, right? Where it's like, oh, I went to high school with this person. I really didn't care about them, but it kind of got on my nerves. But I need to really add them to my thing. And you add your Facebook friend or whatever, and you see that person is really, really terrible. And they're just sharing stuff that every day is like the worst. And you're like, oh, I have to submit. I got to just do it. No, you don't. You do not need to do that. You do not need to do that. Right? So not everybody is going to be playing out the same way, but even sometimes those people like that are placed in your life at work, for a reason. And in fact, because God has allowed things to be such that they are part of your life and you are part of theirs. And so your attitude, how do they view you? Do they know you're a Catholic? Do they know you are? And do they just know your propositions? Do they know the doctrines that you believe? Or are you that kind of guy that people say, man, that guy's pretty happy. He's a nice guy. He actually brightens our day. Maybe a little bit weird or something, but, he's always listening to this, guy that's like screaming into microphones. And he's always laughing at his own jokes and stuff. I don't know what that guy's doing. But at the same time, that he's joyful. Our office is better because of him. Our front line's better because of him. Our storage room is better because of him. Our company is better because of him or her. St. Francis de Sales says in the Introduction to a Devout Life, it's necessary sometimes to relax our minds as well as our bodies by some kind of recreation. I love this. This is St. Cassian relates that St. John the Evangelist says that amusing himself one day with a partridge on his hand, was asked by a huntsman how such a man as he could spend his time in so unprofitable a manner. St. John replied, "Why dost thou not carry thy bow always bent?" It is one of those things, right? This is like pure genius stuff. Because, answered the huntsman, were it always bent, I fear it would lose its spring and become useless. Be not surprised then, replied the apostle. Let me get to the next one. Oh no. What's the next page? Oh yeah, I got it. Okay, I got it. We're here. We are here. Boink. Yep, there we go. Don't be surprised. Should sometimes, let me see here. Do not be surprised then, replied the apostle, that I should sometimes remit a little of my close application and attention of mind to enjoy some little recreation, that I may afterward employ myself more fervently in divine contemplation. It is doubtless a defect to be so rigorous and austere as neither to be willing to take any recreation ourselves, nor allowing it to others. So think about it. If you're constantly on the warpath, you're like, man, I'm just out there, I'm like 4 a.m. and I'm arguing up a storm on Twitter. I am click-clack-debating away. I'm super awake right now. And the smoke is coming up off of the keyboard and their fingers are getting hot. It's all on fire. And you're hearing like that, and you're like, man, it sounds like that, those people that tap dance really, 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 really fast. Or like Spoon Man. Like this, and you're like, that guy is typing. And you're like, he's arguing with somebody who, I don't know, I think the guy has like 3 followers on Twitter. I think it might be a bot, actually. I don't know who used to do it. I don't think that guy's real, and if he is, nobody cares. That dude doesn't care either. But he's got this guy wrapped around his finger. You're whipped, son. If you're somebody who cannot put a stop to the click-clack debating, if that is you, you're whipped. You're whipped. In a bad way. That ain't good. He says, to take the air, to walk, to entertain ourselves with cheerful and friendly conversations, to play on the lute or any other instrument, to sing to music. Hey, look, if you're playing a lute, man, make a video of that for me. I want somebody playing that lute. We got to include that sound on the show. We break out the lutes. If you break out the lutes, we're bringing it on like Donkey Kong. That's what we're doing. It's coming on strong, folks. It's coming on like Donkey Kong. And you're like, how do you know? Did you hear the lutes? Oh. These are recreations so innocent that in a proper use of them, there needs but that common prudence which gives to everything its due order, time, place, and measure. Again, there it is. Again. Have fun. Do your thing. Right? Is it innocent? Is it innocent? Is your conscience bearing witness against you? Is it out of due order and time, place, and measure? And that's actually the tricky part, isn't it? Right? So he talks about how some of these things would be good, right? And some of these things might be bad, right? So certain things like even chess, backgammon, and such, that in themselves are good and lawful, provided excess either in time employed at them or in the sum that is played for it be avoided. So you want to stay away again, over and over. You want to stay away from that. Father Schuon says, no one can blame you for amusing yourselves, provided you do so in a legitimate manner. Yeah. Do so in a legitimate manner. Let's see here. Yeah, someone Tom says, yes, the unintentional Debbie Downer pose pick. Talking about people who don't believe in this sort of thing, like, no! Yeah, it is. It's the unintentional Debbie Downer pose pick. It's what it is. If you don't know what Debbie Downer is, that's hilarious, by the way. I love that you even said that, Tom. And Andrea says, joyful and glorious mysteries are not for nothing. Thank you. Thank you. It's like, isn't that an overemphasis to say, I'm just sorrowful? What about Sunday, man? What about the days you're praying the joyful mysteries, the glorious mysteries? What about that? I mean, doesn't that show you a balance? Doesn't that show you that there are scales where you can find that balance in your life and not just be, completely messed up? One of the things, I don't even need to read that for this. One of the things that really struck me as I was reading this, because it's, there are things sometimes that I do out of order, that I give too much time or too much attention to. And he gives advisements even for not staying up forever and ever. You want to be able to have a good night's sleep. In fact, if you have to prefer one thing over another, and it's your choice to prefer waking up early. Now, some people might be better at working, like, for example, writing at night. In fact, I do better writing at night. My problem is I find myself sometimes, Wolfpack chat, getting involved and being up super, super late and having a good time. And it's fun, but then I'm tired. And I had to think about that. And I had to say, there's a point to that. That, I really enjoy going and getting involved in that and getting involved with people and connecting with individuals. And there's a kind of a neat interplay between work and play that goes on there with me, right? And on the one hand, that plays into what I do for my work. On the other hand, sometimes we're just having fun. And I'm not using that as like, oh, well, what can I do on here to make people like the live show better? It's just getting to know people. It's praying and doing a good job, trying to live as a saint. But sometimes living as a saint means you gotta turn it off. In fact, it's the reason, I don't know if anybody's tried calling me recently. I've had my phone off for a couple days. You know how good that feels, actually? I wish I'm half tempted. I'm not even lying. I am half tempted to go and purchase a phone for the wall at our home and just prop it up there. I might need to buy like a bat phone. You know what I mean? Like, I need to buy one. We need to make a paleo phone is what we need. We need a paleo phone. We need a Kaiser phone. That's what we need. We need a Kaiser phone. And so if people have suggestions on what the Kaiser wall phone would look like, or if there's already stuff out there that looks like it'd be, fitting for the Kaiser in his home, to go ahead and send that over at the Wolfpack chat, or send it to me at PaleocratDiaries if you're one of those holdouts that doesn't believe in Telegram and stuff like that. You do exist too. But it would be great to just never even have to turn on my cell again. Unless I'm driving and I could just leave it in the car. Or just, have it with me in my bag so that when I leave somewhere that I can just say, oh yeah, I have it there, so that the excuses that I make for it would still make sense. Phone calls would still come through to my computer if I'm on computer and I'm working or whatever. I still have phone calls that would go through. But I wouldn't need to have that constant distraction in my hand all the time. In the meantime, I'm putting it on grayscale. That's another thing I've done. I found myself spending too much time on the phone. And I think that's really common, right? I mean, how many of you could say that you actually spent way too much time on a phone? In fact, that have you ever done that thing where, like, I know iPhone has it, where you can set it up so that it will tell you how many hours of screen time you had? And it was like real bad for me. One time I'm like, holy cow, like I'm dwarfing the amount of time that I sleep. It was bad. And so one of the things I've done, and I'm going to continue to do in the meantime, is to put that phone on grayscale. Right? Like some people don't know what that means. It's like black and white TV, right? Like, but it's called grayscale. And you can do that in your display options for your phone. It makes a big difference. And in fact, there's people that put a guy, I don't know, was he with Google or what was he with? I think he was with Google. And he was their ethics, kind of their philosopher of ethics over there. And he ended up leaving because it was so unethical, what they were doing, manipulating people, right? I mean, the manipulation there is through the roof. And not just with the content with words, but even with the use of colors, the use of placement and stuff like that. Facebook is really bad about that. Even with the introduction of the like button, stuff like that. You see recently YouTube took off the dislike. So it's still there, but it's not visible. And so, but they still have the like button. So the psychology of the like button is still at play. And so, but people spend too much time on there. And in the meantime, I'm going to do that. But I think this would be a moderating influence that would say, okay, well, this would keep me from the last thing I do and the first thing I do in the morning. So the last thing I do before bed and the first thing in the morning is look at my phone, and I find myself waking up later and later and staying up later and later and later and getting less and less and less done, not allowing myself to, in fact, sometimes get kind of bored, because boredom's good. We need to bring it back. It's a driving it's a driving motivator on so many levels. Yeah. Benoit said joy in spiritual literature, the feeling aroused by the expectation or possession of some good, one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Yes. Joyful emotions affect the body, but they're essentially in the higher faculties of the soul. Yeah. And yes, and sadness per se is not a sin. Forced and artificial joy is not the way. That's exactly like, how fake is that? Have you ever seen people? That's why I'm so glad that Lasance brings it up. You can see it in their eyes. If you've seen those people that they smile at you and you can just see death in their eyes, like it's not joyful at all. Despair, loneliness, very hollow person. It's like looking into, a grave. It's a terrible thing. And it's very fake. You see this on TV a lot. A lot of the TV people, they're talking and they got that smile, that winning smile, and you see the top and the bottom teeth. They know how to do that, and you smile, and they're like, hey, and they got a little bit of the bottom teeth showing. There's a little gap in between. They've learned how to do that properly and such. They practice in a mirror and all that. And their eyes, though, are just wicked bad. And it just looks like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, but it's from up here and down here. So no fake stuff. Yeah. And yeah, people in the comments said if you had your final moments, and I wanted you to put it on there to see if you would answer this way, because we said what we saw what St. Aloysius would do. Yeah, Peter says I'd get down on my knees and pray. Andrea said I'd run to a confessor. That's what I would do, and get last rites. Kevin said I would make a true act of contrition, make my soul well. The saint said he would continue playing. You know what? It's one of those things. It's one of those things. Benoit says, to be honest, thanking God for the scenic route is a pretty hard thing to do, especially when that season in life doesn't seem to end. Well, I agree with you, Benoit. It's true, isn't it? You're like, man, and I know, Benoit, I know you, that means something to you that's different than some people where, folks who had something that they really wanted to do, they felt that this is what they really wanted to move forward with, but something came up in life and they simply weren't able to do it anymore. They had to actually put it away. And they had to do something different. That's tough. That's a hard deal. And it's one of those things where is taking the scenic route. There has to be an acceptance, I think, that scenic route might in fact be until we make it suddenly home. There's a little trickaroo in that says, this is a scenic route, take it in, right? We're going to make stops along the way. We got to fill up with gas. And you're like, man, this is a long scenic route. And he's like, well, just, we'll eat and stuff, but you just get to know these people and get to do this and that. Whatever we're going to do along the way, the places that we're going to see, the people we're going to connect with along the way. And at the end, all of a sudden, for some reason, one moment you're riding in the car, you got the top down, you got the T-top open, rocking it out, in the old, Camaro, in the old Corvette. And you get there, and all of a sudden, your eyes open up, and you ain't here anymore. You died. And you say, I thought that was a scenic route. Yeah, it was the scenic route to here. It was the scenic route to here. Well, but I had an idea. That, are you going to even say, but I wanted to do all that back there? Would you even say that if it happened that way and you just enjoyed yourself the scenic route? Or would you say, I wish I would have taken more advantage of that scenic route? If I knew that's how it would play out. Again, it's a way of looking at it. It's a way of accepting it, and resignation, that's hard. I'm not even saying it as if it's something I'm doing. I want to stress that when I'm talking about this stuff, I don't do this stuff perfectly. I read about it and I'm talking about it so we can learn it together. I sometimes get really upset about it. I was actually telling somebody recently, I said, I get really upset. I used to get really upset because I would watch as people with junky shows, with junky topics, and somehow they were just, getting mad views and such. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, these people, it's nothing but sensationalism. It's super shallow. I had these high expectations, and I was tempted to lower the expectations. I was tempted to say, I'm just going to talk about the nonsense. I could do that all day long. I could do it all day long. And the world, look, our secular age is just literally force-feeding us mountains. And we're like, we're choking on it. And so these mad trads and sad trads that do the same thing, they're like, oh, the secular age has been choking you on this stuff. Here, take some more. And they're like shoving like multiple hands in the mouth at the same time. Like way down in your throat. Oh, you have enough yet? You have enough yet? Yes, I've had more than enough. And I think the world has too. But I had to accept that if I did that the numbers weren't going to be as big. All right? Skin and tragedy really do attract a crowd, like Lasance says. The philosopher Lasance. Skin and tragedy attract a crowd. And so I know that. You say, think about it with the news. Look at ourselves. And it's not that third person effect that says other people. That's just a human thing. Think about it. How would you watch news if every news story was something along the lines of, well, today I had a really pretty normal day. It was nothing great, but it was nothing bad happened. I didn't have a stroke or die. And just grateful for another day. I'm now 47 years old. 47 and still kicking. And that's the end of the segment. Or how about the news where it's like, yes, we're going to talk to, Jim over here on 32nd Street. And they're like, hi, Jim, how are you? And he's like, well, it's another day and my house has not been broken into. I have never had anybody steal anything from my house. I'm really grateful for it. And like, good, that's wonderful. Or how about the people who you go and you see a fire in a house and you're watching the fire and people are coming out and somebody dies? Which story is going to get the most? Which story? Or the person who does something particularly heinous. Somebody doing super wicked junk, super perverse things, and making a big deal out of it, and the world is making a big deal out of it. Which one would be that you would watch? Even you, even me. There's a tendency in news to see those displays of destruction, whether raw material, whether homes, whether rivers that are overflowing, whether earthquakes or eruptions, volcanoes or car crashes, or a person whose life is just completely a wreck. So I knew that there was going to be an issue. I knew it was an uphill battle, and I had to accept it because I had to know that on the inside we're better. On the inside, we are the TARDIS. We are bigger. We are better. We are not focused on that nonsense. We are focused on being joyful. We're focused on being grateful, and we're moving forward with great zeal, in fact. Let's see here. Yeah, I already talked about, okay, so it means always be the right kind. Because he talks about games going on till late in the morning and stuff like that. Let's see. He says, he talks about don't allow these things to get to that point where they become a master over you. Let me see if I can find that exact image here. Yeah, right here. Is that it? Yeah. right? He says when you're playing, if you're playing a game and there are no stakes are involved amid home surroundings that may be unobjectionable, that's fine. But when the players sit for many consecutive hours, right, how can that be a refreshment to the mind and the body? And that's one of those things, even with social media. I've said, look, if I'm on there for bazillion hours, how is that refreshing? And how, it might be building up each other in certain ways, that's true. But how is that refreshing? Have I done other things? I can tell that I haven't because my waistline is not getting smaller. It's not. It is not getting smaller, guys. That means there's something going on it's not awesome. I need to work that out. And by work that out, I mean that body. I'm working out the mind. I'm working out the jabberjaw. But what about my body? I need to do things that bring refreshment. Do not permit your love for any kind of card playing. Now, you could add now, because there was no games before that, like the same way that we consider. If game theorists might say, well, there's underlying principles. You go, I know. Well, that's why I'm say it applies. To grow on you till it becomes a passion and masters you. Control your passions so that you do not run to what is evil or overstep the limits of prudence or good sense, even in lawful things. Isn't that just like enthusiasm? Isn't that one of those? He talks about having a hobby and about St. Alphonsus. This is one of those things. Some people, let me go ahead and pull this one up. We're making good even on the fact that some of these are. Do I not even have that image? What? Okay, I don't even have it. I don't have that one. I don't know how I don't. That's crazy. So I'll just read it. He talks about St. Alphonsus and how St. Alphonsus did not even begin writing until the age of 49. And in his 83rd year, he had published 60 volumes. And that was when his director forbade him to write anymore. I bring that up because sometimes people think, well, it's too late. I'm 30-something years old. I'm 40-something years old. What am I going to do? I'm stuck doing what I'm doing. Be joyful, man. Be joyful. He said that St. Alphonsus would find a half an hour here or a half an hour there. And that he would make use of those little bits of time to build something up over time. And now we have over 60 volumes. And now he's a doctor of the church. You may never be that. In all likelihood, you won't. There's not very many. But you might be able to do something in your life that you thought you could not do if you focus and you allow for time. If you say, I'm not going to be the greatest painter in the world. Maybe I won't have any paintings in museums in England or in France. But I'm going to paint. And it might take me a while. Or I'm going to write a book. It might take me a while. I might build something. It might take a little bit. I might want to start a band and play music, and it might take me a while to put it all together, and it might take longer than I wanted. And maybe I'm not going to be playing. I probably won't be playing like huge arenas or stadiums or anything, but I can get that music into people's hands, and it can benefit people's lives. If we accept that, that's like me accepting the fact that we get what, maybe 700 views, maybe 1,200 views. It's okay. It's okay because you gave your best, right? Because you didn't allow, if that's not your calling, if that's not your calling and that's not to be some huge sacrifice that you make on the drop of a dime, and that's something that you still want to do though, then you've done a good job. Yeah. And so that, there's got to be some kind of a joy in that, right? There's got to be some kind of a hope in the fact that even St. Alphonsus did that. Oh, I have to find this one. Please tell me. Please tell me that I have this one. Where is it? That is really terrible. So I had 279. Hold on. Yeah. That is so funky. Oh, I got it. There we go. There we go. Oh, I'm like, please tell me I got this one. And by the way, Andrea, thank you. I suggest John Dowland lute music, 17th century. How would I know, man, that you're into the lute? You're into the lute. The L-U-T-E. He might be into the L-O-O-T, too. If you are, you should be definitely funding PaleocratDiaries. Right here. Okay. Idleness hath taught much evil. Ecclesiasticus, right? There's this idea, right, that people can say what can be done today cannot be performed tomorrow, for time past never returns. Young man, can your past show anything that gives you a right to claim or a claim to repose? And your present life? It demands your activity, energy, exertion. Idleness is premature old age. To be idle is to decay, to die, to rot. The future imperatively demands of your activity. I love that. Idleness is a cesspool of the soul. Foul vapors arise from stagnant waters, and idle, dangerous, bad, abominable thoughts from inactive hearts. Thoughts which may become desires and end in shameful actions. Idleness effeminates and enervates. It robs the mind of its penetration and the character of its firmness. Idleness is the confederate of all other vices. I want to kind of flip here to, there's because, and I'll say this, and we'll go to the very, very, very last one here. Let's see, the last two, because it's some really great quotes here from John Chrysostom. No. Yep, that one. And then this one. Because we're almost out of time. I bring up that idea, and look, those are my wife's fingers. If I wouldn't have made that mistake with the pictures and stuff, I still don't know how that happened. We'll figure it out, right? But the idea of idleness, like, I thought about it, and I'm like, how often in my life have I just been that way, where I'm idle? And in fact, sometimes I think I'm not because I'm a busybody. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, I did a whole bunch today. And I said, I think even with things like social media, I think things like video games, that's kind of an easy target. TV, easy target. But things like social media, even the stuff that's otherwise good, that if we have not accomplished something, and I want to propose something, okay? And nobody has to play along. But to begin sitting there, even the folks in the Wolfpack chat, to say, what have you done today that has been productive? What have you done today that has been productive outside of whatever productivity you can attribute to your activities inside of the Wolfpack chat? And make that part of something that we talk about, to say, yeah, this is what I'm bringing from my life into this place. Look, I made this thing, or I've been working on this project, or I reached out and I did an act of mercy, or I did this and that. That we're bringing, we're not just enjoying our time together and talking it up, sitting in a room. I don't want to, where it's not like a coffee shop that people just sit there for, 10 hours a day, sitting there smoking and drinking coffee. I revealed a little bit of my age right there, because you used to be able to do that. Sit around and just smoke cigarettes. The place would be packed with smoke. And you're sitting there and you're reading some Sartre or whatever, like in a coffee shop. But where you're able to bring yourself and those gifts and talents, and not just good conversation. And to say, yeah, I was productive today. Yes, I did those things. I worked bit by bit. I'm trying to make my house better. I'm trying to make my physique better. I walked today, or I did some exercising today. I did this or that. Even if it's small, it doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world. It's making yourself better over time. But to prioritize and say, if I haven't done that yet, maybe I shouldn't go into the Wolfpack yet. I don't want anybody to say like, hey, have you done anything good? I just for ourselves maybe, right? To say, have I done something yet? Even if it's waking up and saying, I did morning prayer before I got on and logged on. I did morning prayer. I actually got on my knees and I did morning prayer. Or I went and I organized my day. I looked forward and anticipated my day. I plotted it out. And then I decided I was going to come in here. And I have other things I still have yet to do. So I got to go. But I got to go. Bye. And that would bring us joy. In fact, that would bring people in with a greater sense of wholeness and never walking out feeling as though they've been deprived of time. And I'm just using that as an example. That's one of the things you're starting to see what I really like to do. I love hanging out and talking with people. But I got to get this book done too. By the end, it's December, guys. Pray for me big time. Pray for me. We're going to rock this. But here's the last quote. He takes it from Chrysostom. Okay? Right here. In short, there are two crosses. Our Lord's cross and the devil's cross. Our Lord's cross consists of the labors of my state and the pain and sorrow that go with labor, or whatever sort it may be, as God said in the beginning. Okay? To Adam, in the sweat of thy brow, thou shalt eat thy bread. Thorns and briars shall be the earth. Shall the earth bear to thee? Yeah, man. Let me make this bigger so I can actually read it. I'm old man eyes here. Old man eyes. It's happening. This cross I must submit to. I must submit to be nailed to, and never come down till death releases me. Never abdicate. Never resign. The devil's cross consists of feelings of wretchedness, black discontent, irritation, complainings, downheartedness, and misery. As it were, whiffs from clouds that envelops Satan in eternal despair. This cross I must fling far from me. There's no virtue in long faces, even when pious people pull them. To carry Christ's cross manfully, one should be reluctant to avow that one has got any weight of it on one's shoulder. Think about it. Holy cow. So he says the first wrong is to refuse the examination. He said there's two wrong things to do and one right thing. So first of all, he says there's those two crosses, right? So you've got one that's Christ's cross, one that's the devil's cross. And he says there's no reason to have this face all the time. It doesn't mean you got to be the fake smiler. It doesn't mean you got to be the person like Squidward on SpongeBob when Mr. Krabs sells the company and Mr. Krabs comes back later and tries to get a job or whatever because he's bored with retirement. And he comes back to get a job and Squidward's like smiling. And he's like, what's going on? He's like, they're watching you, kind of thing. And there's like, Mr. Krabs looks over and the guy's like staring him down. He's got his little, recording. He's taking record of what's happening all around. Making sure, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm smiling. Not that. But also not the forlorn. Not the pit of despair. The pit of despair face. Right? You don't need to be a sad Sally wearing your frumpiest frown to town. Just you don't need to do that. But he said, here are two wrong things to do and one right thing. The first wrong thing is to refuse the examination, get oneself let off, or let oneself off by ceasing to study. Okay, so don't do that. Don't refuse to study. That is like resigning a burdensome office in later life, usually a mistake, right? It is flinging Christ's cross away. The second wrong thing is to go on studying, making oneself miserable all the while with lamentations about the disagreeableness of the task and the prospects of failure. I say that for many people, the sad trads and the mad trads and the bad trads and all of them, that it's because they see the disagreeableness of what they have to do. And they don't believe that they're going to win. They do not believe that Christ is going to conquer and that he's going to do it through them. And they've given themselves up to despair. And as such, they are Grumpy Town. This is adding to Christ's cross Satan's cross, and may likely enough end in casting off both. Satan's plan. The one right thing is to work hard, serenely and faithfully, day by day, doing all one can and committing results to God. Tell me that what our mottos are here are not saintly. Tell me that. Take a knee for Christ the King. Give it everything you've got. Never give up. Keep on smiling. Remember you're going to die, and realize that because you're going to die, you got to give it all you got right now. So dream big. Work every thought, every action, every word. Give to him. Glory in all things to God. Give it all you got and let him do the rest. Tell me that that is not saintly. Tell me that that's disproportionate. Oh, you're not in good proportion. For what do you want to add to that? I want to add Satan's cross. Get out of here, chump. Get out of here with that nonsense. We don't need to do it. Don't do it. In fact, we need not to do that. Or else we're going to end up casting off both. So hit the road, Jack. The moral is this: the cross of sadness should always be got rid of by a Christian, so far as ever he is able to shake it off. But the cross of arduous and at times disagreeable employment should be held on to and cheerfully borne. End quote, by the way. Yeah, end quote. End quote! Don't you love it? Don't you love the way of the saints? Do you feel confirmed in this, by the way? The rise, the glories, the triumph of the GladTrads? The idea that we laugh, that we learn, that we live, that we love, that we do these things for the Lord. Don't you love that? Do you identify with it? I sure hope so. I sure hope so, because you know what? We are doing a good job. We're giving it everything we've got. Again, I want to thank everybody in the comments, Christine, all of you. I want to thank you. Let's get this screenshot out of here. I'm going to drop it right here. I'm sticking around, folks, for this. I want to thank everybody. Hallelujah, thank you. Anthony, thank you. Angela, thank you. Nick, it's good to see you, bro. Andre, of course. Benoit, Alex, Peter. He says use the phone as a dartboard. Yeah. And Django says, what's this channel about? What's going on here? Stick around, bro. Stick around, bro. We're going through good stuff, man. Aren't we? Aren't we, everybody? Don't you love what we're doing? We're learning. We didn't only learn. How did we get here? Right? How do we get here religiously? How did we get here with the interplay of the world and everything else to give us kind of a map, the bird's eye view of our situation? But then we're now digging deep into the anatomy of the heart and how we ought to live, how we ought to strive, how we ought to smile. And we have a good reason to smile because we have an amazing king and we know the ending. And no matter how little it is, we can always trust that, like the TARDIS, we're always bigger on the inside. Because of people like you. So never give up. Keep on smiling, and memento mori.
I wanted to make people dream bigger thoughts.